Hi, my name is Kelly Roten, and I am the Early Childhood Lead here at FCC. And I want to talk to you today about serving as a family. This is a core value in our home, and even though I've worked in preschool ministry for many, many years, I think my qualifier is that I'm a mom of 2 kids. So when it comes to serving as a family, we serve to love like Jesus. See, he taught us that. One of my favorite stories about Jesus is when he washed his disciples' feet. It's in John 13, 1 through 17. And I'm going to read you a couple of verses, but I highly encourage you to read the whole section because you'll get more of an understanding. But I'm just going to read you a few verses. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him. Okay, so Jesus is God. Jesus washed the feet of his disciples. Now, one of the things that always strikes me about this is they wore sandals, and that's like dusty and gross, but also there's a lot of animals around and a lot of pooping and a lot of nastiness, and people's feet were disgusting. And Jesus got down on his knees and he washed their feet. Okay, so just try to fathom, why would he do that? Why would he choose to do this on his last night with his disciples? So then in verse 14, he explains it. He says, "Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you." See, Jesus reiterated it. He spoke bluntly, honestly, for people like me, okay? He just made it real clear. You are supposed to go do things for other people that are not easy, convenient, glorious. So he wants us to serve others. He wants us to serve others unselfishly. And how do we teach our children this? Do we just assume the church is going to do all the teaching? Will the school teach it all? If we want to teach something, you know how we do it. We have to model it, and we need to involve them. We don't tell them that's how you wash a dish. We wash dishes together, right? So what does it mean to serve as a family? And I think basically what service is unselfish, constructive action. Unselfish means we're not necessarily getting anything out of this. And constructive means we're actually doing something purposeful that's building up the other person. So try to put that into play when you're imagining what is serving. So one of the ways my husband and I raised our kids was we modeled consistent service to them. We modeled volunteering regularly and always showing up for those volunteer commitments. When our kids were teenagers, they chose to volunteer regularly and show up for those commitments. Another thing is, as a family, we reached out to people together. As a family, we taught them that when we're serving the homeless community, we approach them as human beings and not someone who needs our pity. You know, we are just people, brothers and sisters together. And my kids still talk about that when we took them, to Skid Row and such, and the way that we talked and looked at other people, whether or not they were homeless. So just remember, when we're serving, we're modeling Jesus, and we're not necessarily going to get anything out of it. We may not get a thank you. We may not get a really cool post on Instagram. But the important thing is that we're showing our kids how to love one another, how to be good neighbors. A few examples of serving would be like, if there's a food drive, do the food drive with your child. You and I know it's easier just to call Instacart, order it, have it delivered. But if you take your child to the grocery store and have them look at the list and pick things off the shelf and choose to put it in a bag and bring it to the church, it's going to teach them a lot more about serving. Sending cards to hospitalized kids, just doing park cleanups. Park cleanups are a great way to serve with your family. And so just look for opportunities. but especially look for ways you can help others. Bring a meal to a neighbor. Bringing a meal to a neighbor is pretty rad because you don't get any glory. A lot of times you don't get a thank you. You're not going to have a cool post on Instagram, but you're truly loving your neighbor as God has commanded us to do. So have fun serving, and I would love to hear about your experiences serving.